Howdy all Moblox Lives. I think it's time we play a little 7 Days to Die. Alright, I just came back from doing some looting. I got a pumpkin seed. I forgot pumpkins even existed. I was trying to figure out how many more farm plots I needed. And I'm like, oh, I think I've got too many farm plots. And so I just found this pumpkin seed here, which is awesome. I got my cotton planted. I need, what, 3 more farm plots here. I just about died. Um, This is, I don't know what's going on with my hand here. This is recording number 2. I didn't like how recording number 1 turned out, so I have opted to start over, as I do sometimes. Not that anything bad happened in recording number 1, just I got sidetracked on a set of stories that I didn't want to tell. It happens. I don't need any more coffee beans over there, do I? No, got plenty of coffee seeds going. Um, they weren't horrible stories. They were just, you know, um, stories about how I used to get yelled at work all the time. I mean, I could tell those, but I don't want to tell them today. I might. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. Because first we got to talk about D&D. It was D&D last night. My session, I ran it. There's a couple of things that happened in there that I do want to, I do want to talk about. In the D&D game for sure. So I don't know what is wrong with these guys. I honestly don't know what is going on in their heads lately. So 2 weeks ago, when we played, because we play every other week, different campaigns. So 2 weeks ago when we played, they killed the head of the organization at the fort they were at, who's the bad guy. I mean, he tried to kill them. He was eating people. You know, he's a bad guy. And so I described the room to them, and I mentioned that there's a map on the wall. And they don't even ask questions about the map. And I was like, huh, one would think that when you're in a new area, that you might want to check out that map and see what's going down. You know what I'm saying? And so they did remember at the beginning of the session this week that there was a map. Well, no, they thought there was information they had missed about something else in the room. And then when I mentioned there was a crudely drawn map, they, wanted me to give them the information off the map, of course, which I did. I had expected them to get the map last time, but they, yeah, I don't know. But it continued on to this week. I was surprised this week. So the very first thing, so I got contacted by my nephew, and he he's like, "Hey, let's play a game together." And I'm like, "All right." I'm like, "Hey, we've been playing this MMO. You want to play this MMO with us?" And you play D&D. Maybe you should join our D&D game. And so he agreed to join the D&D game. And so and the MMO. I'm probably gonna join up with him on the MMO here when I'm done with this. And so he joined us last night, and so the first thing they did after they met up and chit chat a little bit, like they didn't ask him who he was, where he came from. I mean, a little bit, but not really. I gave him a whole backstory of what had happened to him, because the game takes place in this valley next to a bay or an ocean, Um, I think those are so Bay with a city nearby, and he's playing a class called Blood Hunter. Nope, nope. I want to explore this place. A Blood Hunter, lichen something. So he's a werewolf. He's infected with lycanthropy, and so I mean, sounds cool. And so I asked him why his character would have been in the area. Like, uh, first I thought maybe he just lived in the area, but then I thought if he lives in the area, then he's going to know about places, and it'd just be easier if he doesn't know what's going on the same as the rest of them. And so I told him that. I'm like, so just pick one of the towns, and I gave him a list of the towns that were there before the meteor hit, and we'll say you were with the refugees because they just rescued a bunch of people, and so man, these football players, woof. They just rescued a bunch of people, and I was just gonna say that he was one of those people that got rescued. And so, easy peasy, right? Super easy way to integrate someone into a game who wasn't there at the beginning. Make a character, put it at the same level as the rest of them, and since they just rescued people, just say he had been captured and he gets rescued. Done. And so I don't know what the other two were thinking because they didn't even bat an eye that he was there. Like I told him, like it wasn't a surprise that my nephew was playing. What I mean is, their characters did not care that this guy was suddenly there, and they're just like, "Hey, you want to go with us? All right, done." That was it. That was about the extent of their conversation. I'm like, "Oh, good. I'm glad I put so much effort into automatic weapons. Nice. And then I already have that one. Not my steel production though, which is what I need. And did I already loot this place? And so kind of made me laugh a little bit that they didn't question anything. Basically, he said that he was in town because of researching information on lycanthropy. I'm like, oh, okay, so we're going with that storyline. I didn't read his character sheet or anything, and but I can infer from just that what's going on with his character, and so he. I'm not wrong, right? There should be another floor to this place. And another side that we didn't get to go to. Why is it just open like that? I don't know. Not sure what's happening with this building. So, they knew that a small dragon lived in the next section they had to go to. Very small dragon. And so it's pretty funny because very small dragon is sitting there, and they just opened the door, and so I started combat, and the dragon rolled pretty high, uh, but not first to go. And so the warlock got first to go, and so there's a stairway, and so he rolls his attack, and he rolls really high, so he hits the dragon, and then oh no, I said really high. He rolled a crit. He rolled he rolled the best you could roll, which means that he does extra damage. And then on top of that, he used a spell that does dice damage, which means that the dice damage gets buffed up because it's a critical hit. And so the poor dragon is a little tiny dragon, and it only had like 27 hit points. He did 35 points of damage with the first attack in the fight. I'm like, all right, well, He gets hit by the lightning. He watches his muscles all seize up. He starts to smoke a little bit and collapses to the ground, dead. The end for the poor dragon. He didn't even get to do anything. Poor little guy. Let's see what this one does. Do 10% more damage to bears. Bars. And so like, oh, all right, it's gonna be one of those days. I see how it is. And then from that point on, nobody, not me, not them, nobody could roll well. And it was something else. Like, sixes were high numbers. Six isn't enough to do anything. It was crazy. You know, the only thing I wish, is that the XP was visible through the scope, so that can't hit that guy. So that I would know when a zombie died. And so they go on a little farther, and I'm just thinking, what do you mean? You killed a dragon. Dragons have dragon treasure. You didn't search for the dragon's treasure. I didn't tell him this, because it's hard for me not to mention things like that to them, but I really do feel that you have to live with the consequences of your actions in a game like D&D. I mean, yes, you can tweak those consequences, but if you don't search the dragon's lair for the dragon's treasure, which is on the floor above you, just up the stairs that you're standing next to, and you're like, should we go up or should we go down? Well, we know we have to go down, so let's go down. And I'm like, but the dragon's nest is the floor above you. Why would you do that? Why wouldn't you get the dragon treasure? You know dragons come with treasure. So no dragon treasure. They didn't get the dragon's treasure. Ugh. Oh my god. Oh, nice. His head just came clean off. Football guys are tough, so I'm just going to leave this out. Oh, I got excited there for a second that was a coat, because I need a nice winter jacket to go investigate those winter places. And, I don't know why I can't aim. I really can't. I'm not sure what it is. It's something about aiming in makes me suddenly unable to use my mouse. I don't know what it is. But yeah, so it was just crazy to me that they skipped the treasure and they didn't talk to people, and they this one, oh, it gets even crazier. They have quests and they write them down, and they looked at their quest list, right? And their quest list says that they're looking for this woman named Harliot. And and so who do they run into? Harliot. And they talk to her. Actually, they don't even talk to her. Okay, let's back it up one step. So they open the door to this hallway, and they see suits of armor. Now, chances are, if you see a suit of armor, it's animated. and um, and so the one guy goes, "I don't trust him." I'm like, "Yep, I figured he wouldn't trust him." And so he's like, "I'm gonna. You guys mind if we wait 10 minutes and I'm gonna cast detect magic?" And I'm like, "Yep, he's gonna know they're here." And so he cast detect magic. Whoa! Oh, this must be shot class. And so I tell him, I'm like, yeah, the suits of armor definitely give off magic. Um, not their swords, not their shields, but the suits themselves are radiating magic. And and he's like, well, they're dwarven in size, so it's not like I can wear them. I'm like, what? That's why you wanted to cast detect magic to see if the suits of armor were magic? You know they're coming to life, man. So they enter the hallway and we start combat with the suit stepping out on either end to attack them because that's what's gonna happen. And so they fight those guys, and then the noise from fighting them, they take them out in like 2 rounds, and it says that if the fight takes two or no after 2 rounds, Harliot will hear them fighting because she's the bodyguard for the bad guy of the dungeon. She's not necessarily a bad person because it's one of those games. Um, that's a lot of zombie soldier there coming out of a school, and so I had mentioned to them last week or last time we played that Harliot was in this place, and so I keep saying her name, Harliot, 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 because they have a quest, and it does not appear to me that they're aware that they have a quest involving this woman. And so I just keep, every time that I mention her, I use her name, Harliot. Um, I describe her because I already did, she got described to them by the guy who wanted her found, and they were just more interested in whether or not she participated in what was going on in the fort to the people. And so they asked the guy who had, my nephew who joined, whether or not she had, tortured him like all the other people were being tortured. And he's like, yeah, no, she wasn't involved in that stuff, because I told him that. Uh, because she was regretting working with these people, but what had happened was she almost drowned, and the bad guy of the particular section of the game we're on, not the fort, but the actual bad guy for the whole first 5 level story, um, saved her life and told her that he was looking for a cure for what's going on, and so she agreed to help him, and so he stationed her as a bodyguard for this horrible necromancer guy, and so she was already thinking about leaving, and so they questioned, or they fought her. They didn't even ask. They didn't even try to talk to her. She demanded to know who they were and why they were skulking around the hallways, and that they said that they had been sent by the dude above who they'd killed. And so she said, "Well, it's weird that you had to kill the armors. Then didn't he give you the code word?" And they're like, "Well, no, he hadn't." And she's like, "Well, you better go get him so that I can be sure you're supposed to be down here." And so the response to that was to throw daggers. Uh, and So she fought him, but there was only one of her against all of them. Oh man, look at all that stuff in the gym. I need that stuff that's in the gym. And, oh man, but the gym appears to be locked off. Why is the gym locked off? Who locked off the gym? Oh, maybe we can sneak in through the coach's office here. And, does this help my knee? No. Okay. Does this help my knee? No. I'm not sure what happened to my knee. So, she fights a little bit and then she gives up because she doesn't want to die. And she's not that enamored of the group. And she hates the guy that she's been assigned to because he's a terrible person, killing people and torturing them and stuff like that. Oh, you're not. For some reason, I thought she was a. I mean, I guess she could be a cheerleader, but I thought she was the actual cheerleader character model. That guy go down? No. Is he down now? Okay. Just me and Crawley. Sweet. All right. And so I take that. I take that. I'll take that. I take that. I take that. That can go in the trash. Ooh, a Cracker Books box. Please be steel. Please just do me a favor and be steel. No. Stuff I already got. So, after they talked to her a little bit, they let her go. And so she left. And I was like, after she left, I'm like, Harlyot. You just let Harlyot go. And they're like, yeah. You don't recognize that name, Harlyot. I mean, yeah, because we just talked to her. I'm like, I've been saying it for 2 sessions now. Harlyot. You don't remember who Harlyot is. And then the one guy goes, I mean, that's the name of the... Oh, we were supposed to... Oh, got excited. I thought that was steel. That's the name of that woman we were supposed to find. Fireman's Almanac. 10% more damage to coal and burnt wood. Okay. Robotic sledge schematic. What the heck is this thing? I don't know what that is. Row. I don't know what that is. Is it like a melee trap? Like a turret trap, but with a hammer on it? I don't know. Oh, I'm so overweight. I need to get back to my... I almost made a level today, so that's awesome. No puffer coat, though. I really could use the puffer coat. I wonder if I can make a puffer coat. Can I just make one? I never make actual clothes. I don't know if you can make that stuff. You can. I can't, but you can if you have Needle and Thread Volume 6. I was like, I can't believe you just let her go. Why would you do that? Well, she's not on my list of quests. I'm like, she's not? No. I mean, let me look at my list of quests here. We got. I'm like, why don't you check somewhere around? I don't know, the woodworker, the carpentry shop, whatever you wrote down as. Yep. I see here. Wants me to find some woman he used to know. I'm like, and that woman's name is written in your notes as. Oh yeah, it does say Harliot right here. Uh-huh. I mean, she wouldn't have given them anything. I don't remember what they're even supposed to do once they get back to town. Um, uh, so it wasn't. They didn't miss out on anything. It's just, well, they missed out on probably completing that quest. Although I don't think any of them are of the appropriate class to even use the reward. Um, nope. There's a paladin. A paladin could use the reward. So I'll have to look to see if that quest is about finding her or finding her and bringing her back. Yeah, they might just have had to find her. All right. So yeah, that was our session last night, and it was pretty funny. I can't believe how many things they just didn't see. Um, so there was a funny fight where they fought these rats, and so the way the rats work, they're zombie rats, and so a swarm of rats moves into the same square as a person, which almost everything else in the game doesn't work that way. And so I figured they couldn't hit the rats without hitting the dude the rats were on, unless they were very careful. And none of them took the option to be very careful. Not that it mattered because the rats couldn't land a bite and they couldn't land a hit on the rats. And so it was just a crazy, you know what? I totally did not mark my home location. Again. One day, I'm going to mark where I live on this game. So it was a pretty funny fight. I think it lasted 4 or 5 rounds, which is a long time for one creature. And they're like trying to hit it with torches and casting spells against them. And it was pretty funny. They finally killed them off. But I thought it. Everybody was just rolling so badly all night long, me included. It was crazy. So I guess a quick story about I don't remember what led to it, but in the last video I went on this long tangent about this one time at work. Not where I work now, and not really where I worked before. But I used to teach classes at a college, and so we had a program where we did dual enrollment classes at a tech center, and so they asked me to teach some of the classes, and this is years ago, and so uh, other people taught classes, and I was not. The way it worked was the students would do a series of classes throughout the school year. And so they would start with a class, and then they would do that class. And then when that class was over, um, then the next class would start. Or there'd be a class one day, a different class the next day, and they would just alternate. One class would be 3 times 1 week, the other would be two, and then they would alternate that. And so the students only met the same time every day, but they got different classes at that time. But they were all these dual enrollment classes. And so what would happen was at the end of the school year, they would have done 2 years worth of college classes, because you go to college way less than actual school. And I think that's the way it worked. Or maybe it was we did 2 years with them, and then at the end of those 2 years, they did 2 years class. I think that's what it was. So they get a year's worth of college in during the school year, and so uh, great in theory. Uh, not so great for the guy who comes in the second batch, and no one tells him anything. Oh, that's a thing to learn. That's not a thing to add. So, so we get to. I'm in the second group of instructors to come in, right? So there's already been a group in there. They've already done their however long. I don't remember how long we made the classes last. It was different because on campus a class would last like 10 weeks, and there they only lasted like, well, I guess I could figure that out. It's 10 classes for 4 hours. They met 2 hours, two, and then it'd be 4 and 6, which would be 10 hours. And a normal class is 40. So every 4 weeks, right? Every 4 weeks, basically, they're swapping classes. That's the way it worked. And so I came in, a month in, and no one explains anything to me. No one from the tech center, no one from work. I mean, I contacted the one instructor and had her meet me there and explain to me what was going on. The principal was supposed to meet with me, and every time he was supposed to meet with me, he would cancel it. So I never met with the principal before classes started for me, which is great. And so none of that really matters. It didn't throw a big hitch in any plans or anything. I got in there, got my classes started. They showed me where my classroom was. Um, you know, there was a couple of things. So one of the things that happened that just popped in my head that I'd forgotten about until this moment was the my class started at 8:15. I think 8:15 a.m. And so at my college, what that means is I show up for my class at about 8. That way I can get the door open and the lights on and my stuff laid out in preparation for class, right? Turns out at the tech center, what that means is I'm supposed to be there at 10:45 because the first bus arrives at 10, or not 10:45, 7:45, a half hour before my class starts. And nobody told me that because I had to be there when the students started showing up. Because some of my students would come in on the 10:40 or the 10:50 bus, and then they would arrive every 5 to 10 minutes after that until there were multiple schools that went to this tech center until all the different tech centers arrived. You know what? I should probably keep that with me because you never know when you're going to need to stop yourself from bleeding like I was doing earlier today in this game. And so, anyways, I got to finish this story. So, uh, nobody tells me that. And so, after a couple of sessions of class of me not showing up until um, around 8:05, somewhere in there, because my class didn't start till 8:15. Oh, and my class only lasted until 10:15, and so I would leave at 10:15. No, those students didn't leave until 11:15, and so I was expected to stay for the hour after my class was over, because someone has to sit there and babysit the students. And I'm like, what? And so I got yelled at. Like the dude literally yelled at me because I wasn't there. I'm like, well, no one told me that. I don't know what's going on at your school because it operates different than the college I teach at. I have not been a high school tech center teacher. I don't know what's going on here. And so that kind of stuff just kept happening over and over. And then the story that I told earlier was so the dude was in my face like every other day. I was being called to the office to get yelled at by either the principal or the vice principal. And so one day I get there and the principal sees me and he's like, "Hey, I need to talk to you." I'm like, "Oh God, what did I do now?" And so I go in, and it was stupid stuff. Like we laughed too loud one time during class, and you know the other class is playing Christmas music and decorating their room and talking, and we laughed too loud one day. And so I got pulled in for how disruptive my class was to the other class that was going on. Because I was at one point in a classroom where we were in one half of the room, and then there was like a conference area, and then another half of the room, or I guess those are thirds. So I was in one third of the room of computers. A third of the room was a conference thing in the middle, and then the other third of the room was computers again, and there were no walls between them. Waist high walls, I guess. But that was it. And so if they made noise, we heard it. If we made noise, she went to the principal and told him to yell at us. And so I was always getting yelled at for being too loud. Because I don't know, we talked about funny things involving computers in a class about computers. I don't know what to tell you. But that woman that taught the other class got mad every time we laughed. Every time. You can guess how many times I heard their class laugh. And so, anyways, so one day he calls me in there. I go in to talk to him, and he's like, "So we're having a lockdown drill." I'm like, "I don't know what a lockdown drill is." And he's like, "What do you mean?" I'm like, "I've never been in a lockdown drill. What's involved in that?" He's like, "Didn't anyone tell you?" I'm like, "No, no one's told me anything about your drills. I don't work here. I work for the college, and then I teach classes here. And this is like my third week here." And he's like, "Well, you should have gotten informed at the beginning of the year." I'm like, I didn't work here at the beginning of the year. I didn't work here till we're like a month and a half into classes now, and I've only been here for like 2 or 3 weeks. Oh, oh, well, you should have been told how the lockdown drills work. I'm like, nope, nobody told me. Well, we told one of the other instructors. I'm like, well, she didn't, or they didn't tell me. I don't know if it was a woman or a man. And he's like, well, I don't have time to tell you how a lockdown drill works. I'm like, okay, so who should I talk to? Is there like a paper I can look at or something to let me know what I'm supposed to do? And so he sticks me with the vice principal, who yells at me every day, anyways. Um, uh, and like they'd pull me aside and be like, that student's attire, his shorts are too too far above his knee. I'm like, okay, what does that got to do with me? I don't care. Um, I I feel like you're not understanding how this works. If your rules are being broken, then you talk to him. I don't care. It's not. I mean, I did. I'm like, hey, man, they said your shorts are too short. And he's like, okay. And then, of course, then the principal has to come in and be like, so I heard one of your students, like, I didn't dress these kids. What do you want from me? They got on the bus at their school. Apparently, it's okay at their school. We have a rules here on student attire. Good for you. You never gave them to me. I don't know what they are. I didn't dress the kids when they were at home. I didn't tell them what to wear when they got on the bus. You were standing there when they came in and didn't say a word. Why is it my problem now? So, yeah. So they give me to the vice principal, and he, oh man, that dude yelled at me all the time. He says, yeah, so I was told to let you know that there's a lockdown drill. I'm like, yes, I already know there's a lockdown drill. The principal already told me. He said, you were going to tell me how the lockdown drill works. And he's like, what do you mean? I'm like, we don't have lockdown drills at the campus, at the college campus. I've never been in a lockdown drill. I don't know what to do during a lockdown drill. Can you please tell me what to do? Well, I was told that your college had already been informed on our drills. I'm like, they may have been, but nobody told me. Well, I'm going to have to talk to your supervisor about that. I'm like, go right ahead. I don't. What am I supposed to do today when the drill goes off? Please just tell me what the drill is going to be. And so basically, he says, all right, so we're standing in the hallway, and he's like, so we're going to announce the lockdown drill. You're going to take your students to their designated place. They're supposed to get on the floor and be quiet, and you're going to shut the door, lock the door, and turn the lights off. I'm like, I don't have keys to lock the doors. And where's their designated area? And he's like, you don't even know where their designated area is? I'm like, once again, never been in the lockdown drill, don't know where that's at. So he goes and he looks at my classroom and he's like, huh, I don't think this room has a designated area. I'm like, okay. And so he goes, let me go ask. And so he asks apparently a few people and he comes back and he's like, okay, no one knows where this room is supposed to go. Well, look at that. And so you just take your students in this room. And he takes me to a copy room. And he locks the door but leaves it open. And he's like, since you don't have keys, we'll do this. And then you can just pull the door closed. Or no, it locked from the inside. It would lock from the inside, right? That one you could lock from the inside. Some of the doors you had to have a key on both sides of the door to lock or unlock it, and I didn't work there, so I didn't have keys. And so, so the lockdown drill happens, and I tell the students, get up, go into the room, sit down against the walls, be quiet. We turn the lights off. I shut the door, I lock it, and then we're in there forever. I swear we were in there for at least 15 minutes. He didn't tell me how long it was going to last. All he said was, I think I asked him how long it was going to last. He says, I will come by. The vice principal tells me this. I will come by and I will tell you when the drill is over. I'm like, all right. And so there was, I stood leaning against the wall, looking out the tiny window in the door, waiting for the drill to be over. And so after a while, he comes to the door and he talks on his walkie-talkie, and we couldn't hear anything once we got in that room. And he sees me, and he mimes, open the door. So I thought he was here to tell me to open the door. I guess, because that's what he said, that he would inform me when the drill was over. And so I open the door, and he slams the door open, and he goes, you just killed yourself and everyone in this room. How dare you do something like this? We have, our drills are important. I can't believe you disrespected us like this by ignoring how important these drills are. Why would you open this door? I'm like, dude, you just mimed to open the door. You told me you were going to come by and let me know when the drill was over. I assumed you were telling me the drill was over. We announced that over the PA. I'm like, okay, well, I haven't heard anything from the PA in a long time, and you didn't tell me to wait for the PA to announce the drill was over. It doesn't matter. You just disrespected us. You disrespected this whole school district. I don't know what's wrong with you. That you can't, you can't follow the rules that you were given. I'm like, oh, you barely gave me any rules. We're gonna have to talk about this later. And I'm like, oh, geez. I'm like, fine. Uh, let's get in for another yell at me session. And uh, so yeah. So then after that, oh, is it just me or did everything on my screen get blurry? Is my guy having a stroke? What's going on here? I think I'm getting blood poisoning for whatever's going on with my knee there. And so yeah, so then we go back to class, and the kids are like, "Why were you getting yelled at?" I'm like, "I don't know. Those guys yell at me all the time. They yelled at me for parking in the parking lot. They yelled at me for not having a parking pass that they didn't give me. They yelled at me just everything. They yelled at me for, and I'm not using the term yelled at as in I was talked to or informed that I was doing it incorrectly. I mean they actually yelled." Raised their voices at me about how I should know better. And then every time it was like a shock to them that I didn't get the manual for how the school district works that I don't work at, or that I wasn't on the announcement email or anything like that. And I'm just like, dude, I don't know what to tell you. I don't work here. I teach a class from the college in this building. That's the extent of my knowledge of what's going on. And so yeah, so then after my class is over, the principal is standing there, and all the kids leave, and they go off to their bus, and the principal's like, so I guess we're having a meeting with you and me and the vice principal about something. I'm like, look, man, I have never been in a lock drill, down drill in my life, and none of you explained to me what was supposed to be going on. And he threw a huge fit when I opened the door, when he asked me to open the door, and then tells me that I shouldn't have opened the door when he told me that he was going to be the one to tell me when the drill was over. And so I assumed that him asking me to open the door was him telling me that the lockdown drill was over. And so apparently it wasn't, and I didn't know. And he's like, well, these drills are really important. I'm like, yes, I conducted the drill to the best of my knowledge of how it worked, but you told me you didn't have time to explain it, and he told me to wait for him to come back, and that's what I did. And now he wants to yell at me some more because I opened the door when he asked me to open the door. Because apparently I was supposed to assume that he was the bad guy. I mean, I do think he's a bad guy, but not in that sense. Yeah. So, anyways, man, that place was just awful to work at. Not the college. The college had its moments of awfulness, but working at that tech center is the second worst job I think I ever had in my entire life. And I did it twice. I did it twice. The second time was not as bad as the first time. Um, Although, once again, I guess super quick story about the second time I worked there. You can't tell high school students that the class is being graded as a pass fail and then get mad at me because they won't study for the exam that I was told couldn't be part of their grade. And wasn't part of their grade. I did a whole series of classes to prepare the students for A+ certification. We had books, we had flashcards, we had simulation software, we had practice exams. We covered every minutia of that book to prepare them for this test. And I told them that less than 60% of people passed the A plus exam on their first try. Guess how many of the students studied for the exam before they took it? One. One out of an entire classroom. One student passed it. And one student showed up the day before the exam and said, "Hey, I got this other packet of flashcards. Do you think that that'll help me pass the test tomorrow?" I'm like, "Well, have you been doing the practice exams? I mean, you guys haven't asked me any questions." And like, no, we just did the homework. We haven't actually like read the book or even looked through it other than what we did in class. I'm like, you know that it's this difficult test. Like, you're gonna need to know this information that we covered beyond just knowing how to. It's not part of our grade. Not my fault. And this class is pass fail. So as long as you pass your portion, the other exam doesn't matter. I don't even know if I want to go into this kind of stuff for computers, so I don't really care if I get the certification or not. That was all the students but one. Like, are you kidding me? I got yelled at for that. I got yelled at because the students did not study enough at home for an exam that they took on their own that had nothing to do with me. It was insane. Yeah. Anyways, with that, be better than the small things. Lean into the light. I will talk to you later.